Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
This is my boomstick.
Here's Johnny.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Righteous! Righteous! Yeah!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Houston, we have a problem.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
All right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Those Film Nerds podcast. As always, my name is Will Spalding, and I'm joined today by Sam Dierberger. And Sam, we should say that we are in TFN headquarters right now. We're in a big open room, lots of windows, recently renovated.
Yeah, it's the new studio.
Right.
It's the new studio.
Right. Of course, with the reopening of Minnesota, we could reopen TFN headquarters, and we did.
It's good to finally be back at the office.
Right.
Right.
I came in today, suit and tie, briefcase. Opened the briefcase, had the microphone, and that was about it. But
it's an exciting time.
Right, and just as we're about to leave, theaters are back open. And Sam, are you thinking about going to a theater right now?
Oh, I don't know. Will I survive if I do?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, if I wear a mask and I'm like, nowhere within spitting distance of anyone in the theater, I mean, I don't know. I could still get it and die. So, movie theaters, death traps. Shut them all down.
I do. Sam, I'm gonna just before. Okay, I should preface this show. We're gonna be talking Promising Young Woman today, as we said, and then the following weeks we have Minari and Nomadland on the docket, and so Promising Young Woman. We'll get to what we thought about it, but then we kind of want to discuss a little bit about the outpour, some backlash, some absolute praise of the movie. And then obviously recommendations at the end. But right now, Sam, I want to read you. I want to read you what's in the nearest theater to you and I.
Okay.
We have Fatale
Mm-hmm.
with Hilary Swank. Looks pretty terrible. We have Monster Hunter.
Okay.
That's just sounds good.
Such a creative title.
Right. We have News of the World. Okay, all right.
Sure.
Pinocchio. That is
yes.
That is not the 40s classic. That is a new 2020 Pinocchio, because we need more Pinocchio related content, right?
Well, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And side note, I just read probably 2 weeks ago. Did you see the teaser trailer for Disney is doing a live action Pinocchio, like they've done to Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and everything else?
Right. Did
Mulan.
I hear?
They're
I think that's
Geppetto.
Who's directing?
Tom Hanks. Geppetto is going to be played by Tom Hanks. I don't know who's directing. Let me
Okay.
look that up.
All right. Now I know which project you're talking about. Tom Hanks is in it. It's Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep.
So that'll be bad.
But then
That'll
also, wait, is the Pinocchio playing right now? Is that the Guillermo del Toro one?
No, there's another
No, it's
Guillermo
not.
del Toro one, and that's coming to Netflix, I think.
Yes. So we have like 3 Pinocchios coming out within
2 years of each other. Yeah.
2 years.
So we have the one in theaters. We have the Robert Zemeckis one, which is just going to be awful, like actually terrible.
Right.
And then we have the Guillermo del Toro one, which might be moderately interesting. I think that's stop motion, actually.
Yeah. And I read that the Guillermo del Toro one is going to be like more dark. Like it's going to take place during World War II or something.
Perfect.
And
I guess I'm kind of in for that one then.
Twisted. Yeah, it could be a good time.
All right, anyway, so Pinocchio, that's probably terrible. Promising Young Woman, which we're talking today. The Croods, A New Age.
What?
You got to have that, Sam. Come on.
They made a new one?
Yeah, we need our daily dose of DreamWorks animated studios. We have The Descendant.
The Descendant.
Not sure what that is. The Last Vermeer. Don't know what that is either. We have The Marksman, a Liam Neeson joint. That's got to be good, right?
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman 1984. So that's the movies in theaters right now, Sam.
Oh my God.
Not great.
What a lineup.
Not great. Whew. Oh boy. All right. Well, with that being said, let's move on from that. But yeah, I kind of said it earlier, Sam. But what movie are we discussing today?
This week we're going to be talking about Promising Young Woman.
Every week, I go to a club. I act like I'm too drunk to stand. And every week, a nice guy comes over to see if I'm okay. Okay?
You are so pretty. I am a nice guy.
Are you?
Yeah, Promising Young Woman. I guess we didn't have much talk about other than this. So should we just get right into the review then, Sam?
I guess so. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this one might stir up some conversation, and of course, like we said earlier, we might discuss a little bit of the general audience's thoughts as well, just because it's been such an interesting conversation on the socials, social medias, and news sites, because it's gotten so much discussion. Good and bad too, which is good to see that it's not just one like universal, oh my gosh, this is great, or one universal, this sucks. So it's good. It's a good conversation, really. But yeah, so Promising Young Woman, Sam, I want to ask you, did you have any exposure to this, or like what was your anticipation? Did you have any anticipation? Just give me some thoughts on that real quick, then I'll share mine.
Yeah, I mean, I had some in anticipation. I've said this before, but I've loved Carey Mulligan's acting ever since Inside Llewyn Davis, which is, I think I've recommended that before, which is one of the Coen brothers' best movies, which is saying a lot. But I think she's a fantastic actress, so I was excited for that. Also, I follow. I'm going to be talking about Bo Burnham extensively towards the end here, but I follow Bo Burnham's career quite closely. Bo Burnham is one of my favorite comedians, so I've actually known about this project for a long time. It wasn't until a few months ago that I really had an idea about what it was about, really. But yeah. So I mean, I had anticipations that this movie would be at least worth watching and at least worth discussing. So I was looking forward to it.
Sure.
What were your expectations?
Yeah, I heard about this maybe 6 months ago or so, and kind of like prepping myself for what Oscar movies I'd need to be watching this year. We'll talk later what Oscars this could potentially have, but just kind of prepping myself for what movies I would need to watch later in the year. And this one I kind of had circled just because I was curious about what it would be. I love Carey Mulligan as well. I think she's awesome. And you're right, Bo Burnham is super great. His career is super interesting, and I think we were both fans of his directorial debut.
Yeah.
And he's got an interesting style. It's obviously comedic, but with some serious undertones as well, which we saw in 8th grade. So I was interested to see what he was doing. I like him as an actor as well, so that was cool. The director, obviously, we don't know much about her, as it's her first movie. So yeah, I think this kind of had interest all over it. And then obviously the subject matter, just like last week with Pieces of a Woman. Not super fun subject matter by any means, but definitely interesting to see what everyone involved would do with it for sure. So yeah, I would say there's definitely anticipation for this movie.
Well, yeah, and unlike Pieces of a Woman, Promising Young Woman actually has a plot, so
It
that's
does.
something.
It does.
It has a beginning, middle, and end, and it's quite a plot. I've been reading a lot, really praising Emerald Fennell, the writer director. She seems to be getting all kinds of praise for the screenplay and the dialogue specifically. So I guess kind of to start unpacking this, what did we think, just spoiler free, about how this was written, how it was constructed?
Constructed very well. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely it's definitely a 3-act structure, and it's pretty obvious in that. So I liked how it was set up. You know, we're getting little tidbits at a time. I like that we're following Carey Mulligan's character, Cassandra. That's right. You know, we're following her around on her you know, almost her quest, even though we're not quite sure what it is yet until we get further into it. Yeah, I guess writing in terms of dialogue, you know, good dialogue sticks out to me, like really good dialogue. Bad dialogue sticks out to me. I didn't notice the script much here, which isn't a bad thing, not to say.
Right.
And it's so I'm sure it was good. I didn't really notice it in this movie. Again, that's not a knock on it or anything. I didn't really notice it. Do you have any thoughts on the dialogue aspect?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was nothing here that was, like you said, there was nothing here that was noticeably bad.
No,
But
yeah,
I don't think there was
exactly.
anything here that was like noticeably great either. Nothing really, and like you said, I guess maybe that's what you want from a screenplay. But it's not like, you know, I always point to, I think the best working today in terms of writing dialogue is Noah Baumbach. And you know, when you're watching Noah Baumbach, you have those moments where you're like, that is realistic.
Right.
Like, I've heard that in real life. And I never had any of those moments here, even though this movie is a little more, I guess, out there. It's not exactly like slice of life, but it is saying something about everyday life. So I guess, I don't know, maybe there could have been more there, but I just don't understand why everyone's just freaking out about like incredible screenplay here.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by I didn't stick out to me in any way, just because, you know, I noticed really good writing, and not that this wasn't really good. I didn't pick up on any, like, heard any dialogue that I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That like you said, that, I mean, not that this doesn't happen, but I mean, this is I mean, not something that happens to a lot of people every day. So I'm not sure how a lot of people are like, yep, makes sense to me. Because that, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying that the writing was bad. Just that, yeah, I guess I would join you in the side that I'm a little confused why everyone's absolutely praising this writing. I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're on the same page about that. Any other just spoiler-free thoughts while we're still on the subject? Like, what'd you make of, I guess, the setup to this movie? Like, I guess the premise of Cassie going around essentially trying to, well, it's still unclear to me what she was actually doing.
Agreed.
Because does she, you know, when she kind of lures herself into men's bedrooms, essentially, does she end up like robbing them? Because all we see is like a confrontation between her, freaks the guy out, and then she just leaves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we see, you know, it kind of opens with exactly what you were saying. She's acting drunk. I played this in the clip. She's acting drunk, and this guy takes her home from a club they're at. He seems like a decent guy at first, like he's gonna help her out. Eventually, he asks her to come up to his place to have a few drinks. We get there, and then he wants to have sex with her essentially. And as far as he knows, she's drunk and can't make any decisions for herself. Then she kind of sits up and confronts him, whatever, and then it kind of cuts away, and I'm like, oh crap, she killed him,
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's like, he's dead. Holy crap. She's
yeah.
And then we cut, that we keep going, and she does this again, and we kind of get to witness a little bit more of it, the lead up to it, whatnot. And I don't know. I thought it was funny that it was McLovin from Superbad.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Anyway,
that is hilarious.
And so we see her confront him more, and then she, kind of scares him, and then she just leaves. So then I was left a little confused. I was like, okay, so she doesn't kill him, I guess. I guess she's not really doing anything illegal then, right? That's what we're made to believe. I thought, at least. I think she's just kind of scaring them, kind of like, don't do this again, and then heading off, right?
Yeah, that's what I assumed. But I mean, it's just strange because as the film goes on, this is even in the beginning, this isn't even really a spoiler, we start to realize that she does this basically every weekend. Like,
this
is her hobby,
right?
Which is just fascinating. First of all, like, that's interesting character writing to begin with. Someone who enjoys just confronting men for almost doing something illegal and horrible, but putting herself in a vulnerable position to almost essentially get raped. So it's an interesting way to build a character.
You're still in a dangerous spot. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the basic premise, which is what we were just describing, and we figure out later why she is doing this. But I thought the basic premise was pretty good. I was like, this is interesting. Like you were saying, it's definitely an interesting character. I don't know, character, not a characteristic, but something they do. Like it was interesting to follow that. And I want to get your thoughts on this, because this line actually did stand out to me. We get a little bit further in, and I think it's the McLovin scene still, and she tells him essentially, like, or maybe it's later, I'm not even sure. She tells the guy, like, some girls do it a lot worse, and they're doing it a lot more often than me. I'm like, is this do people do this? Like, Sam, what did you think? I was like, do women do this? Actually, I don't know.
I mean,
that seems so unrealistic to me.
It's possible. I mean, there's something here. There might be an undertone here, and I don't know if this is insane, but it's almost like making a comment on, like the Second Amendment or something like that. Like, it's kind of saying, like, there are women who know how to defend themselves and voluntarily put themselves into a vulnerable spot just so they can take revenge on whoever was about to wrong them. It's like such a weird, I don't know if there's people who do this. I mean, I would hope not, just for the betterment of society. And by the same token, obviously, I would hope that not a lot of people take drunk women home.
Right.
But it's such a strange realization to have.
Right.
Yes. Because I don't know about you, Will, but there's not a lot of people in my life who are consistently going to clubs every single weekend like this. I mean, it's a proportion of the population. So it's a little piece of nightlife, right?
Right, for sure. Well, I want to get let's get more into this. I want to get your thoughts on the main two actors, Mulligan and Burnham. How do you think they did? How was their relationship? Did they work well together? Was their chemistry on point? What did you think about those two?
Yeah, I thought they were both fantastic, actually. I think that any problems I might have had with the character of Cassie were entirely in writing alone. I think with what she was given, Carey Mulligan did an amazing job. As for Burnham, I actually read something interesting about this. Burnham, who's not much of an actor. I mean, he's primarily a comedian, writer, director. And he's only been in a few just random side projects thus far. So his acting career is not huge. But Burnham said that when he initially got the call to go kind of do a chemistry reading with Mulligan, he was intimidated. And even during filming, he was intimidated by her, which he said, worked really well because the idea is that his character is supposed to be intimidated by Cassie. There's still supposed to be an undercurrent of like kind of uncomfortableness, trying to, respond to her or whatever. So I think that worked really well. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I thought Mulligan was just was a force in this movie. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. And then I thought Burnham stole some scenes from her too. I was like, man, he might be better than her in some scenes. And I'm like, that is crazy because, Carey Mulligan is like you said earlier, is a great actress, maybe one of the better ones working today. And, Burnham, like we also said, only acts on rare occasions. So that was interesting to see. I thought he did great, and maybe that was because he was, kind of made for the part, as he was already intimidated by Carey Mulligan. So his character's also intimidated by Cassandra. So, maybe that worked out perfect. But, I thought in the scenes where he needed to be kind of goofy, he was completely goofy. When they're in the convenience store and they're kind of dancing to, or he's singing and dancing to his song, I thought he played that awesome. When he's supposed to be kind of
right.
When he's supposed to be kind of reserved and shy around her, he nails that. When he's supposed to be scared of her, he completely embodies that as well. So I thought Burnham was fantastic. And yeah, I loved the way that that their characters interacted with each other. I thought it seemed realistic, and I thought it was well done. So I guess that'd be props to both of them and the director for directing them well. So yeah, that Mulligan and Burnham and Cassandra and Ryan were perfect. So love that aspect.
Yeah. The thing I want to get into is Ryan's character, Burnham's character, Ryan. Like we said, he's intimidated by Cassie. They reconnect by a chance meeting because Burnham goes into the coffee shop that Cassie's working at, and it's just it's an extremely awkward exchange, which ends with Cassie spitting in his cup of coffee.
Yep.
Which I guess he kind of interprets as like she's sort of interested, like she's kind of flirting. But it's a weird relationship that quickly develops. And I think the moment where the movie really lost me is later on when Cassie has no problem trampling over Ryan. And we'll get into that. But what did you make of the fact that to be just this like just great guy, wants the best for his girlfriend, works hard, pediatric surgeon,
Right.
all of it, right? He's just set up to be so likable. More likable than Cassie, I would argue.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
But yeah, what did you make of that and the turn that comes later?
Yeah, let's hit spoilers, just because we're kind of going down that route. I think I love this movie. Sam, I'm not sure exactly quite where you stand, but I think you'd at least say it's worth a watch. So
Absolutely.
go seek out Promising Young Woman. Go see it in theaters, if you can, and then come back. But yeah, so spoilers for Promising Young Woman. Good question, Sam. I hadn't really thought of it. I loved Burnham's character, loved Ryan. I agree. I thought he was more likable than Cassandra, but he was supposed to be more likable as well. So that I had no problem with that. Yeah, and then there's the shift. We again, spoilers. We find out that we find out later in the movie why Cassandra is doing all this. Is that her best friend Nina, I believe the name was raped, and she had a hard time dealing with it, and she eventually committed suicide. And we learn this is why Cassandra is doing all this, but that and this happened in college, and Ryan and Cassandra went to college together at med school, and we find out that Ryan was there that night when she got raped. And yeah, there's a huge turn. I thought if there was a weak point in this movie, I think it would be that. I agree. It wasn't really. It wasn't. We didn't lead into that really. It was kind of just. It was. Maybe it wasn't shoehorned, but it was thrown in there.
Yeah.
Kind of without suspicion. But again, I guess in terms of Cassandra's character, she had no suspicions of him, so maybe we shouldn't have either. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it annoys me. And maybe that's what the movie was trying to do. But it really annoys me that Ryan, who is by all accounts an upstanding person.
Yeah, great dude. Right.
Great guy, committed to the relationship with Cassie, goes out of his way when Cassie's being just absolutely obnoxious about the relationship, goes out of his way to make amends, deals with bad situation midway through the movie where she's under the shoulder of another guy when she's out doing her club thing, and he's able to deal with that jealousy, somehow make amends to that, and even then comes back to Cassie, and then she goes ahead and essentially betrays him. Now, obviously, me and any other audience member can't condone what he was doing in that video that Cassie shows him. And we as an audience it's still kind of cryptic as to what exactly that was, but obviously was not good. And and I guess you could say that the movie's making a comment on even people who are living good lives now may have done terrible things in their past. And I mean, we've all done terrible things in our past, maybe not to that extent, but we're all flawed. We're all human beings. So I don't know what comment the movie is making, because I was very much annoyed with the protagonist of Cassie essentially betraying, the other great character in the story.
Right.
It annoyed me quite a bit, and I don't know what the movie was trying to say.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Ryan is kind of that beacon of light in this movie, and then even that's kind of torn down. I suppose from a screenwriting perspective, because you're supposed to look at this like Cassie is all on her own. She's kind of on this island by herself, kind of dealing with the loss of her best friend, and even the person she thinks she can trust, she can't even trust. I see what you're saying. Yeah, like I said, that'd be the one flaw if the movie had any. So I understand. I do want to get your thoughts. We're just backtrack a little bit because I thought this was really pretty cool, or a cool kind of second act how we're moving through this. You know, we figured out how Nina died, and she's kind of going around to all the people she feel wronged Nina. You know, she goes to the dean of the school. She goes to the lawyer that defended the man that raped her best friend Nina, and she kind of makes them pay as well. What did you think of that?
Well, I would like to mention, that reminds me.
Yeah, go.
There was a pretty significant plot hole with the dean and that whole sequence, that series of scenes there. You know, she basically, you know, it's somewhere short of kidnapping, but just comes a little short of kidnapping the dean's daughter. And somehow, I mean, I forget the name of the band, but it's like a made-up band that they use for the screenplay.
Yeah, like a boy band.
Basically, yeah, she lures the teenage girl into the car because she pretends to be a makeup artist for a music video for her favorite band. How did Cassie know what this girl's favorite band was? How did Cassie know where the girl goes to school? How did Cassie know what? How did she know that she would be there at that exact time, at that exact moment? Like, I don't know how that. I mean, that was. I thought about that for a second. I'm like, wait a second, what?
That's fair. That is fair.
That bothered me. And I mean, again, we have this moment where Cassie reveals herself to be, you know, pretty much a psychopath, and like kidnapping a woman's daughter, and you know, she goes into the dean's office, basically lambasts her for what she did to Nina years ago. And she even said, Cassie herself says to the dean, you said it would be too much of a he said, she said situation, which by all accounts, it seems like whatever happened to Nina, it was one of those, like, it's unfortunate, but those situations happen all the time, you know, without any other outstanding evidence. It's like, I felt bad for the dean. It's like, you know, the dean was in a terrible situation. No one wants to be in that situation.
Sure.
You don't know who to believe. So, I mean, I kind of thought that was unjustified. And then she goes to the lawyer, and it's like, obviously the lawyer comes into play later, ends up being kind of helping her, part of her plot. But, you know, even lambasting the lawyer for defending the alleged rapist. I mean, everyone's entitled to a lawyer, even if they're guilty.
Right.
I don't see why that's justified either.
Well,
Like,
I
he didn't
think
commit the crime. It's his job.
I think it's the same thing. The lawyer, especially, and you know, even the dean, maybe it wasn't completely justified, but Cassie doesn't care because that was her best friend.
Right.
I think that's the point of it.
Yeah.
Is that she feels that they wronged him, so you know, it's not always about logic. For Cassie, it's about emotion. That would be my guess if I had one. I don't have an answer for the how'd she know the little girl, where the dean's daughter. I guess she's not really little. Where the dean's daughter was going to school, or that she liked the boy band. But yeah, you know, I actually liked that sequences. I thought those worked quite well, but I could see how there might be some holes in there for sure.
Yeah, and I will say it worked well when she's actually threatening the dean, and she kind of says, she like flips the script on her and says like, oh, she's with these, you know, she's drinking champagne with these boy band members, you know,
Right?
they're good people or whatever. And it's like, you know, she scares her quite significantly. I thought that worked well. But again, it was hard to justify those actions to begin with.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So where should we go from here? Should we get into the ending, or do you have any other thoughts in the first two acts?
We can get. I think there's a lot there.
All right. Yes, you're right. There's quite a bit in the ending. So, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the community outpour. Yeah. So we get to the climactic ending, and really, it's we kind of talked about it earlier, but she finds out that her boyfriend Ryan was there the night that her best friend was raped. She kind of confronts him, which again, this is what I was talking about. It's great seeing Ryan kind of shrivel up to Cassandra. That was awesome. Great job by Bo. And basically she says, tell me where these friends of yours are, and or tell me where they're going to be. And I won't, and I might not release this video that I have.
Right.
So he reluctantly agrees, and she dresses as a stripper to go to the bachelor party, to go confront the groom who previously raped her best friend. And we go from there. Sam, what did you think of that whole, just the cabin scene, not the, don't get into the way end, but the cabin sequence / scene.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I thought, again, we see this reoccurring theme. We saw it in Ryan. We see it in the groom. I forget his name, the groom to be. But we see that, these men end up
Al Monroe.
Oh, Al. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so he, Ryan and Al are both normal, upstanding people now, and Al says, as soon as the stripper shows up, he says, like, come on, who brought her in? Like, I don't want to do any of this. Like, I love my wife. I'm, like, or my fiance, like, it's my wedding tomorrow. This is the whole thing. Right. So we see him acting morally and justifiably now. And again, the movie's making a comment on, like, people change, but that doesn't justify actions from the past, obviously.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting to see.
For sure.
It's insinuated when they go up to the bedroom that they're about to have sex, but he really doesn't want to. He has no interest in it, right? And Cassie finds a way to basically handcuff him. She pulls out like these surgical tools, right? And immediately I thought, oh my God, what is she gonna do? Like, oh, it was terrifying. So terrifying. He ends up going for, it looks like she was about to, like, write Nina on his stomach, like cut it into him,
Right.
which is not as gruesome as what I was imagining. So that was a bit of relief there.
Sure.
Like, getting cut on the stomach, I mean, that would hurt, but there's some other things she could have been going for. So,
Right.
Yeah, so that worked really well. I mean, that was hard to watch.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. But what did you make of the whole cabin sequence?
Yeah, I thought this is really where the movie kicked into the gear for me. I think the third act's the best part of it. Yeah, you'd hope so, definitely. I mean, you want to end the movie out on a high. Yeah, I thought it was a clever way to get the groom alone. We got to go upstairs. We don't even have to do anything, but I don't get paid. If I thought that was pretty clever, actually. And then cut from the bed somehow. That was clever. And then we get the whole confrontation. And we finally kind of get the satisfaction, like she's finally done it. And then we get the whole, and I thought all of that was really well executed. Loved every part of that. And then we get kind of a twist. I don't know. Did you see this coming, Sam? Where the groom somehow gets out of one of the handcuffs and is able to overpower Cassandra and kills her.
Yeah, see, it's interesting because I could kind of see that coming, but I didn't think there would be so much afterwards. I thought, I could have seen Cassandra dying, but I thought the movie would end right there.
Yeah, there was 10, 15 minutes left.
Because then I was like, I watched that, and then I was like, wait, there's more.
Right.
And I'm like, what could possibly, what else could happen now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Well, so essentially we find out she sets up a whole contingency plan in the very off chance that she ends up getting killed.
Right. I thought that was kind of cool though. Maybe it's unrealistic.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool.
It was unrealistic, but it was very cool, right? And basically sets up this whole sting operation to arrest everyone at the party. Well, not everyone, but the main players, the groom, Al, his best friend, his best man, even not Ryan, I don't believe, because Ryan didn't do anything in contributing to her death.
Right. But I think the video got sent out though, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that what that was, or was that just a text message?
She was kind of, we're at the wedding, right? Of Al Monroe, the guy that raped Cassandra's best friend. And then, we kind of hear sirens, and, we cut to Ryan, and he gets a text message from Cassandra. And at first I was like, is she alive? I was slightly confused. I was like, well, that'd be cool. But yeah, that wouldn't have made any sense. And no, we then realized that it was, like you said, a pretext or whatever that she had set up. And it was like, you thought this was the end, whatever. And I'm pretty sure the video came in at the end, and presumably sent out to more people as well. But yeah, I thought both endings, we got the Cassandra ending, and then we got the ending of the movie. I thought both endings were very, very well done. And, the actual ending of the movie was pretty cool. And, Cassandra, got her, she avenged her best friend. What did you think about that ending?
Yeah, I just thought it was cool that basically the lawyer had a significant role in helping fix quote unquote the situation, because when she was going around trying to avenge Nina or whatever, she the lawyer was the one guy who was very sorry for the situation, very sympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say that I shouldn't have defended him, but he said, like, I understand where you're coming from. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So it was cool that he helped out. She sent the package, and basically he was able to send police to that location where the wedding was. So, yeah, pretty cool. But, yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. That's quite a conspiracy to pull off, like to be able to knowingly do that, but still pretty cool. Somewhat unrealistic, but I don't know. I liked it. Good ending.
Yeah, I thought it worked. I thought it worked really well. Yeah, let's get into, there's a couple things, I guess. We'll talk a little bit just about the outpour of this movie, then some wrap-up thoughts and ratings. Yeah, you're right. We talked just slightly off the air. There's been a lot of talk about this movie. Bo Burnham's joining in on the conversation, and a lot of people are as I said earlier, praising it and panning it. I have an interesting article in front of me, Sam, but did you have anything? I thought you might have said something that you had.
Yeah, I mean, there's a host of different articles to talk about. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, lots of people are praising this screenplay as like masterful. I don't know if it's masterful. I think a lot of it is unfortunately kind of political because this movie really ties into the Me Too movement. Not necessarily that that's a political movement, but you know, it has ramifications in the political world. So you know, there's all that there. I know that a lot of like mainstream, like, you know, New York Times, Wall Street Journal are talking about it, not just in the culture section, but in kind of mainstream news. So that's something interesting that we're seeing, because it's a very timely movie. You know, it was obviously written in the middle of like the Me Too movement, from, you know, all these women who came forward and basically rightfully outed people who, you know, had done terrible things. So now this movie kind of extends to the general population, you know, what men engage in this behavior, what men are walking around today who are, like we said, normal, good, everyday people, but have dark things in their past. So it brings up interesting topics of conversation, certainly. I think all of that is independent from what we just did, which was talk about the movie as a movie, not just as a, you know, social message.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of what it's becoming, is, you know, Burnham's chiming in and saying that all the director wanted, we said it earlier, Emerald Fennell wants, you know, specifically men actually to discuss this movie. So we got you covered there, Bo. And,
we did it.
Yep, we got you covered.
Maybe we should send Bo an email and get him on the show.
Right. I think he'd join us.
He would do it.
He would do it. He wouldn't. He listens, by the way. So
he does. He's an everyday listener.
Yeah, you know, he's saying that we should talk about it because the main message of the movie is obviously, you know, just almost awareness of rape and sexual assault, in the especially in the world we live in. So it's interesting how many people are talking about it. But yeah, I guess, you know, it feels justified though. So that it's good. I guess it's good with, you know, movies like this are getting heard about and seen and especially talked about, as many are saying to talk about it. But yeah, so that's good. And then I also just want to discuss, you know, a lot of people, Sam, are talking about the controversial ending, that she is killed, that Carey Mulligan's character, Cassandra, is killed. And we did talk about it, but was that the right move? Before we get into wrap-up thoughts, should she have survived, or was this the only way?
I don't know. That's an interesting question because, like I said before, she is a psychopath. Like,
yeah, she's
like,
nuts. She's nuts.
The thing that she does, you know, the thing she does is insane. Doesn't make a lot of logical sense. But she's able to enact her revenge doing this. And you know, I would argue that whatever she was going to do to Al, you know, put Nina's name on his chest or whatever she was going to do, I mean, I think it would pale in comparison to giving him life in prison for murder. So in that way, she's kind of a sacrificial victim. You know, she basically sacrifices herself because she's insane, so she doesn't care. And to be able to put him in prison, if not for Nina's rape and subsequent suicide, but for her own death. And that, I guess, is a good way to look at the movie and makes her death kind of justified. So I guess I don't have a problem with the death. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the death is maybe, I guess I wouldn't use the word warranted, but is proper fitting for this movie. You know, Cassandra's, ever since she dropped out of med school, her life has revolved around Nina, and you know, kind of getting justice for Nina. So once that is over, you know, what else does that character want or need to do? Maybe nothing. We don't know anything else about her. So
Right.
Yeah, you know, maybe that is a proper send off. So yeah, I guess I would agree with you in that the ending was fitting. But
All right. So
Sure.
then, yeah, let's get into some wrap up thoughts then.
And Oscar predictions. I want to hear your wrap up thoughts and Oscar predictions.
Okay, so wrap up thoughts. I will say, Promising Young Woman is definitely worth a watch. It sparks some interesting social commentary for sure. That
Absolutely.
should be talked about. Regardless if the movie came out or not, this should be talked about, of course, like many other issues. And I mean, the movie itself, it's like I said, there's a few plot holes. There's a few things where it's like, I don't know if I can root for Cassie here, but you know, overall, it's enjoyable. It's certainly not like a feel good movie, but it is a good time. Like, it's fun to watch Cassie enact her revenge on people. So yeah, I mean, yeah. And if I had to go for Oscar predictions, I would say, just based on all the media hype, I would say that Fennell gets a original screenplay. I see possibly a Best Picture nom. I see probably for sure a Best Actress for Mulligan. I mean, it'd be amazing if Burnham got a supporting actor, but I don't think that'll happen, really. He's probably too out there for the Academy.
Sure.
What about you, Will?
Yeah, wrap up thoughts. I do have one more question for you, actually, before I get into mine. Would you see, or would you be excited for another Emerald Fennell directed movie? Or are you kind of just hesitant?
I think if she comes up with a good concept, it'd be exciting.
Okay.
I think she's a good director. She's good with coming up with these interesting concepts.
Right.
So yeah, I'd be okay with it. Sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so wrap up thoughts for me. I would say I really liked this movie quite a bit. I thought Mulligan and Burnham were absolutely fantastic. I loved the basic plots and the structure of it. And like I said, the ending I thought was great. Oscar, I think Mulligan is a lock for a nomination. I don't think she'll win by any means. Yeah, maybe screenplay, like you said. I think picture is nearly a lock as well. We just didn't get that many Best Picture were the movies this year, so it might slide in at like a number 7 or 8 spot. Makeup and hairstyling, maybe. I mean, she's got that wig on at the end, and you just never know with things like this, and maybe costumes or
yeah. I would say maybe even editing.
Sure.
There's some interesting things going on there.
Right.
So
yeah. I'd love Burnham to get a supporting actor. I kind of agree with you though. I don't know if don't know if I see that, but yeah. So those are my thoughts. I guess for star rating for Promising Young Woman, I would go 4 or 5 stars. Really enjoyed this. So Sam, what are you giving it for stars?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I don't think there's much more beyond kind of a slick, comedic thriller, but yeah, it's a good time. 3 out of 5. Definitely worth a watch, like we've said.
Nice. Yeah, with that being said, there's a Promising Young Woman. Go check it out. And Sam, let's hit some recommendations for the week before we get out of here.
I got to tell you, I've been planning this recommendation for this very week because what have we been talking about all of the last hour? Bo Burnham. So I got to recommend, Bo Burnham. All of his comedy specials are phenomenal, but I would say his best is his last one, which was Make Happy in 2016. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original kind of stand-up. If you're not familiar with Burnham's work, he kind of blends comedy with music and some other like on-stage theatrics, and I think his comedy is very, very meaningful, and it goes beyond making you laugh. So it'll make you think about a lot of things. So check out Make Happy on Netflix.
Cool. Yeah, that I will check that out. That sounds good. I'm gonna recommend a TV show that just came out the first couple episodes. And Sam, you might hate me for saying this, but I'm gonna recommend WandaVision.
There it is.
This when all these TV shows got announced that Marvel was doing maybe a year or so ago, maybe even longer than a year, man. WandaVision sounded like complete garbage to me. Like, actually thought that was going to be just a dumpster fire, terrible. And the promotions and ads came out, and I was like, what is going on here? It looks like a 50s sitcom, but I was like getting intrigued by it. And then the Rotten Tomato score came out at like 97%. And I don't judge what I want to watch based on a Rotten Tomato score, but it's a decent indicator. Sat down on Friday night and watched WandaVision, the first 2 episodes. And Sam, for you not being a superhero fan or an MCU fan, I think you would love this, which is saying a lot.
Really?
I mean, it was
fascinating.
It was a 50s sitcom. And would you need to know a little bit about the characters of Wanda and Vision? Sure, but I love seeing that. I watched some modern TV shows too, but I watched a lot of old television when I was a kid. I watched a lot of the Andy Griffith Show, and actually less so of the Andy Griffith Show, but still a decent amount. I watched a lot of Gilligan's Island. I watched a lot of the Brady Bunch. All those older 50s, 60s TV shows. So it was a cool. Sure. It was a cool thing watching this, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, so WandaVision out on Disney Plus.
That's I've been seeing trailers for that all over the place.
Oh my gosh,
they're hunting me down, and I think it's good to have the everyday Marvel fan exposed to some black and white. I think that's healthy.
Sure, for sure. And here's Sam, 9 episodes. It's the most expensive TV show ever at $225 million.
What?
Isn't that insane?
It's black and white, for God's sake.
I know.
What?
It's crazy.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so check out WandaVision. Sam, until next time, where can I find you on the Letterboxd?
You can find me on the Letterboxd at the URL letterboxd.com/sjdierberger. And where can I find you, Will?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Will Spalding, and you can find us going to nightclubs. I'm not really sure. Or you can find us at...
We don't want to be a part of this movie, man.
No, you can find us at anchor.fm/thosefilmnerds, and Those Film Nerds on any podcast platform and YouTube, or Those Film Nerds on Instagram at thosefilmnerds@gmail.com, where you can email any movie-related things into the show, and it'll be fun to talk about on air. But Sam, with all that being said,
keep watching movies, everyone. Have a great week.